Welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode on the Mercedes ML. So I'm going to get this thing on the driveway. We're going to make a start on working our way through all those bits and pieces that we noted and all of those MOT repairs we've got to get sorted. Perfect, we now got some working washers. That's that all sorted. Now that we've got the washers working, I just use the air compressor and the air blower just to blow out all of the washer jets there and get those sorted. As I had the compressor on, I've just gone and done all the tyre pressures as well, made sure they're all okay. Dug all the rubbish out of the boot and did the space saver as well, because there's nothing more irritating than when you get a flat tyre and your spare is flat as well. So that's all sorted. Give those wheel nuts a real good clean before we put them back on. I think I'll probably have to take the carrier off of this one because the lower suspension arm is tucked right in the way of the brake caliper there. So we're going to get some bits for that. Now that we've got all the caliper carrier off and the sliders, we can give all of this stuff a clean. We can push the piston back as well. I'm going to change the brake fluid because it's looking rather black and disgusting. We can swap these pads and it's just going to be a repeat on the other side, although the other side has got a wear indicator. So it just plugs into the pad and then up behind the wheel arch shroud there. I haven't got that yet because they didn't have it in stock. I'll go ahead and put the pads and stuff in there, but we'll have to come back and do the sensor because I'm not going to reuse the old one. We just put a new one on it. I think it's like a £5. So yeah, we'll get this side sorted and then go over to the other side. Right, so I've given the hub flange a little clean up. I'm also going to go and clean up the wheel bolts as well. I'm not going to adjust the handbrake because the handbrake felt pretty good, or the little parking brake that they have on these, so I'll leave that alone. That's this side all completed. The sensor just pops into there and then into that inner pad, so when that turns up we can just get that in place. One thing I did notice, obviously on the other side, I undid the caliper bolts, or the sliders, where you don't really need to do that. If you undo the carrier, as we had to, pull this whole thing off, pull the pads out the way, you can actually just slide the carrier off of the caliper, and then you don't have to undo those. I'll put the wheel back on this side. I've bled the brake out and changed brake fluid here. Started over on the near side, then on this rear one, and then we'll work our way to the front later, in and amongst doing the other bits that we've got to do to this. Sorry, I got a bit sidetracked. Oh, found a screwdriver. Perfect. Can add that to the collection. Untangle that out of there. Thought I could smell fuel. We've got one of the leak off pipes there. It looks as if it's leaking a bit. Maybe one of the injectors. Have a bit more of a look at that in a minute, I think. We've got this side out, so it's just the same on the other side. Then we can swap the air filters over. There's that one. No injector leaks on this side, but we are leaking oil, I believe, out the crankcase breather, because it looks like the oil's going wee down the back there. Lovely. Would you look at that? I'm going to swap the air filters out now. As you can see, they're rather disgusting. I think what I'm going to do as well is probably stop what I was doing here. I've made some adjustments to the leak off pipe on this side, so I do need to run the engine up and check that that's not leaking. The crankcase breather here does look, or on this side does look to be leaking, so I'm probably going to get another one of those and replace that. Also want to replace the intake turbo seal that goes in the air induction tubing, because you should replace those on these particular ones. They suggest you replace them every time you take them off, so I'm going to replace that. And obviously some of that stuff probably needs to come from the dealer, so I need to organise getting that. I've just moved on to replacing the auxiliary belt, and I'm glad I spotted that. I did actually spot all the cracks in it. I didn't spot it falling to pieces. So that was good that we managed to see that. Probably the most expensive auxiliary belt I've bought. Right, I'm going to get in there cleaned up, pop that back on. It's the size of a skipping rope as well. I've just code read the vehicle because I wanted to see where the glow plug light was coming on, and as you can see 5 and 6 we've got an issue with those two glow plugs. The other fault codes that we've got in the system are all related to the fact that we've still got those air induction pipes and bits and pieces off under the bonnet there. So I know that I need to go and order 2 glow plugs, so I'll add that to the list. We're managing to make really good progress. We're motoring our way through all the list of bits that we've got. Managed to pop a new mirror glass on there. Replace the bonnet struts. As you saw, we've managed to get the auxiliary belt done, done the crankcase breather, glow plugs. The cold air intake pipe from here, which comes through to the air filter, I think somebody got that on incorrectly and it just folded the edge over. So I've managed to wiggle that about and get that in place now. I will have to take this lot back off because I've left the covers, the plastic covers and the foam off, so as we discussed earlier, we can keep an eye on all of this lot to see if we get any leaks. So I'm going to put the airbox on this side as well, get that turbo pipe popped on, and then we can plug these sensors back in, the airflow meters and the manifold pressure sensor, and then we can delete all the fault codes and start it up and run it for a bit. Into there. do those two up. Looks like it's about to rain at any minute. Perfect. That's that lot. I've got the ignition on now and I'm just letting the fuel filter prime up, so the in-tank fuel pump is just pumping its way up just to fill that full. Sounds like we're in the clear. Right, we'll spin her over. I'm going to delete the fault codes in a minute, but for now. But the glow plug light went on and off anyway, so. But yeah, we will, when I've had the ignition on and off a couple of times, it has brought up obviously the airflow meter, map sensor, glow plugs, various bits and pieces. So we'll get that turned out. I need to turn the service light and stuff off anyway. I need to program the battery in because it's just saying about visit the workshop. I'm just in the process of swapping the cranking battery back over because this one here is too small and doesn't hold in the clamp properly. And what I have also noticed is these have got tiny little auxiliary battery here. So I'm going to swap that as well. I've got another one here. I'm just going to swap that. So that's tucked just down in here and it's got two little spade terminals. Then I can put the big original battery back in now that I've charged it. We're now all sorted up under the bonnet. It's just a case of obviously giving this thing a good clean once we've completely finished. I will double check the oil. I've already run the engine, checked the sump for leaks, revisited and checked the diesel injector, put all this stuff back on, check the oil filter for leaks. So now we've got that top cover that we can put on, then we can move on to somewhere else in the car. I did have a couple of tyres laying around for this car, so I put a couple of tyres on the front which helped with getting some of those advisories down, and at the same time I did just check the wheel alignment on it because the steering was slightly off. It just felt a bit, I think it was probably where this tyre was slightly low on pressure. We've reset the run flat indicator in the car as well, and when we were doing that auxiliary battery that was hidden underneath the seat where the main battery is, I was still getting the light on the dashboard for visit workshop and the battery light. So I went back and had another look and I actually found that the earth wire, which goes from the little battery to the main battery, had actually broken. So I've repaired that, just put in one of those quick style connectors, repaired that, and now we're not getting that light on the dash anymore, which is fantastic. We're now just replacing the offside rear door lock. I don't know if you managed to hear in the first video, but it was making quite a loud noise when we drove it down the road, like a growling noise. So we're just swapping that out for a replacement to make sure that that's all working properly. Now what I would suggest, when you've got everything back in like this, before you pop the door card on, just check that all of the door lock works. So check the central lock in, make sure the inside handle works, outside handle works, because it's just so annoying when you put all of this stuff back on and then find that it doesn't work. So what I'm going to do now is just sort of hang the door card and plug the window regulator back in, and then just check that that works, and then we can pop the door card back on. That's just held on mainly with these poppers, and then just 3 screws, one there, one up here. So one of them's hidden behind the little tweeter sort of speaker there where the door handle is, and then the other 2, there's a silver trim halfway up the door card, and they're there. If you lock the car and pulled this handle on the driver's side really quick, it would unlock this door still, and then the alarm would go off. And what I did was took this piece out, the emergency lock, there's a bolt just tucked in the back of the door there, took this out, spun it round, and got it into the right position. I did have a quick look on online for that, which was really handy, and I've moved that into the right position. So now when you lock the car, you can pull that handle fast or slow, and you're not getting any issues there at all. I've also got the rear brake pad sensor wire that's turned up, so we can pop that in that offside rear brake, get that sorted. So I've been working my way through the list on the car, and I've absolutely struck gold, and it's been by complete and utter luck. So the interior lights, I wasn't able to find any reason as to why they weren't working originally, so I'll just take you through and show you where I've been and what I've been up to and what I've managed to find. So initially I put the scanner on the car, and it was coming up basically saying that the overhead control panel up here, there was no communication with that basically. So I just tried various bits and pieces, turning it on and off, seeing if that would fix it, if that would work. I also messed about with some buttons up here. I'm not sure whether they're actually for the interior lights. There's just some light looking buttons here, so I gave those a press and thought, you never know, that might work. Unfortunately that didn't. I have also had some bits up on the dashboard infrequently coming on and off, saying about various lights on the back that weren't working properly. So I'll take you to the next point that I got to. So after I'd finished code reading the overhead control unit, or the front SAM module, which led me to the no communication with the overhead control unit, I then came and checked two fuses in the back, which are these two here for the interior lights. I was able with the scanner to activate the footwell lights, but I wasn't able to get any interior lights. With the scanner it was just saying function not available, obviously because it wasn't communicating properly. So I have also been in here, I've been down in here, and I took apart the rear SAM control unit and cleaned that, because like the near side rear light cluster that we noticed had the seal missing, and we replaced some bulbs and bits in here, on the off side, although it is present, it is leaking. And what we have also done while we were in here, we were getting a bit of an issue on the dash with some intermittent brake lights. For the most part they were there, but then on the odd occasion they would just come up and say that the brake lights weren't working and the backup brake light has cut in. So Mercedes actually do a little wiring loom for these. It's a known repair, apparently, because there's quite a lot of power going to the brake light, and also these sort of light assemblies over time start to corrode a bit, and the bulb holder, there's not much in the way of contact on the bulb holders, so that's caused the issue there. What we've managed to do is I didn't have time to pop to Mercedes, so I've just made my own. So it's just a case of soldering onto the little tags in the bulb holder, running two wires, your earth and your power, into a little super seal connector there, and I've left plenty of length on this wire so that I can move it in and out, and then you just tap off of that earth where all the light cluster and that is there. So that's the brake lights and that's sorted. But jumping back to the interior lights, as I say, I had all of this stuff out and I couldn't find where these two plugs went originally, because they were just sort of left dangling down in here, and I couldn't see where they went into the SAM control unit. So I just by chance came back here and thought I'll have another look, and it just so happened that this plug looked as if it was fitting, or looked like it should fit into there, and the same with this one here. So these two weren't plugged in, so I've now plugged those in, and as you can see, we've got full interior lights. So that is absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad we've managed to get those working. It's just another thing off the list, and it's just nice to get all these bits and pieces working when you get in the car, especially over night time. There's nothing worse than not having the lights and you can't see what you're doing. So yeah, we've managed to get all those sorted. So I'm going to go ahead and put that overhead control unit back in and tick that off the list. The rear tail light foams have finally turned up now, so I'm going to pop the tail lights out. You just got a few bolts or nuts, sorry, so you got one on the side there and then three that hold that on. We'll pop that out, undo the electrical connectors before we take the light out, and then hopefully we'll be able to replace those, and that will stop the water coming through from the light and running down into the bottom of the car there. The bonnet has also turned up for the car. I did decide to go and get myself a second-hand bonnet just because once we'd had the car valeted, the rest of it did come up really, really well, looked really, really nice, but unfortunately the bonnet, we couldn't get it to look right. You could see lots of spots of where the paint had faded so badly, it looked like the primer was coming through. So I got this online, popped that on there. There were a couple of bits that I've just needed to touch in. It's not perfect, and I've just polished it over lightly, and it looks really, really smart. It's definitely transformed the front look of the car. And what I'm going to look at doing now is the wheel arch liner. The front part for the near side has turned up, so I can put that in place. So these wheel arch liners just come in sections. You've got the front and the back, they split in half. I did order one online and unfortunately it didn't turn up, so I had to then order another one, which isn't a problem. I was just hoping that it would have turned up sooner, but now that we've got this one, it just tucks into place in line with the other one, and then we've got some bolts that hold it on, along with also some screws as well that hold it into place. Grab myself some screws and get that in. Now that we've managed to take care of all of the oil leaks, the fuel leaks, and get the MOT sorted and give this car a bit of a service, I just want to drive it round, make sure everything's okay, make sure everything's working as it should be. I was hoping to sort of, you know, do a one and done video wise with this car, but being a bit of an older car, sometimes it's one of those things where the more you look, the more you end up finding. So we didn't find anything drastic, but there's just lots of little bits and pieces that we wanted to take care of, and it's really nice to get everything working as it should, all the bits and pieces. So we did have a stroke of luck with the ABS. We managed to find that issue being the near side front wheel bearing, and that wasn't too drastic, so we had a bit of a win there. But then we spent quite a bit of time messing around trying to get the interior lights sorted. So it's one of those things where you do well in some instances, and then in others can be a bit of a challenge. So we managed to get, as I say, most of the bits done. We managed to get all of those interior lights working. We managed to rework the rear brake lights, as known for a Mercedes modification that they do, and that then has meant that some of the lights and bits and pieces that we had coming up on the dash showing issues are now gone. So yeah, overall the car drives really, really nice. Being the 3 litre V6 model, this has got plenty of poke, plenty of torque, so it does go really well. Gears shift really nice. So that's it for today's video, guys, and that is it for the Mercedes ML. And I'm really pleased with how this one's turned out, considering when we first picked it up, we weren't able to actually drive it, so we had to have it recovered. But we took care of that, got it MOT'd, serviced, done all those bits and pieces that we found along the way, and we've ended up with a really reasonable car. Considering the age and the mileage, it's in fairly good condition. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.